So what actually is growth mindset and what is fixed mindset? And more importantly, why should we care, and how's it even gonna, help us in life or in business? Now, in simple terms, and this will kind of illustrate why this is important, if you ask yourself, with the goals that you set at the moment in your business or in other areas of your life or whatever it is, ask yourself, do I more or less currently know how to achieve my goals? Do I know what I need to do to make my goals happen? And if you more or less know what you kind of need to do, maybe it's like working harder to get that promotion at work, or maybe it's like, launch a business that you've been meaning to launch, and you kind of know the steps already that you need to take to make that happen. If you know what you need to do to achieve your goals, then almost certainly we're operating from within a fixed mindset. And here's why this is so important. Now, in simple terms, fixed mindset is where we say, what resources do I currently have at my disposal? So how much money, how much time, what connections, what contacts, what skills do I currently have? We look at what resources do we have, and based on that, what can we achieve? And we'll set our goals from, maybe a little bit outside of what we currently have, and that's what we'll then set our sights on. Like get that next promotion at work, or just start that, business that we've wanted to start, but really we're kind of, we're doing it based on how much money we have. We're not doing it based on what we really want, right? That's fixed mindset. Now, growth mindset, on the other hand, is where we say, what is it that I want to achieve? Like, what do I want to create in my life? If I could have anything at all, anything, what would that look like? And then we ask, how do I gather the resources that we'll need in order to make that happen? So one of them is operating from the perspective of, right, I'm setting my goals, I'm setting my vision, and then I'm going to figure out how to grow into that. And the other is saying, what do I have? And then based on that, what vision could I realistically set? And we'll sell ourselves so short to like a tiny fraction of our potential of what we're actually capable of, as opposed to growth mindset, where we'll set this big vision, big goals, big future, and then we figure out how to grow into that future. It's two completely opposing ways of thinking that are going to produce two completely different results. And most of us by default will operate from within the fixed mindset. What resources do we have? And based on that, what can we realistically expect to achieve? And we'll set our goals from within there. It's not what we truly want. So a super powerful exercise to do is grab a piece of paper and then write down, just let your imagination go wild. Write down, if I could have anything in my life, if I was anyone, if I could be anyone, if I could do anything, if I could go anywhere, if I could have any business, anything goes, right? What would I do? Who would I be? And what would I have? And write down, just go on a bit of a rampage, just write down anything that comes to you that you would love to have from that perspective. Right, and what will generally happen, say things to yourself, for example, if I had 100 million in the bank right now, what would I do? And what's generally going to happen is immediately that programming in our head is going to go, yeah, but we don't have 100 million in the bank, we've only got this much, and therefore we should aim a lot lower because that's realistic. Don't listen to that, because that immediately is the fixed mindset coming back in and restricting and inhibiting us to what we think we're capable of based on our current reality. So do this exercise, literally let your imagination go wild, anything goes, just write it down. And that's when we can start to build our vision of the future from an unconstrained perspective, because what we're capable of is nothing to do with the resources that we currently have. The money that we currently have, the contacts that we currently have, the skills that we currently have, the time that we currently have, that is nothing to do with what we're capable of. Because if we get crystal clear about what we want to create, we can then bit by bit start figuring out and start taking those steps to creating the environment and gathering the resources that are going to enable us to move closer and closer and closer to that future. We can grow into it. But if we're operating from a fixed mindset down here from the word go, we're never going to grow into anything. We're only going to operate from this tiny little box of what we've currently got. And all that happens is we're just going to create more of our past in our future. Our past, in other words, our resources, is already defining what we think we're capable of in the future. Right? So do this exercise, let your imagination go wild. Like if you could have anything goes, how would that look? Start getting crystal clear about what you'd actually love your life to look like if you could have anything and be anything. And then start asking the question, how can I start gathering the resources that I'll need to make that happen? Right? If your lifestyle, like if you've gone mental and your lifestyle is like $100 million lifestyle, for example, if that's what you want to create in your life, well, then start reverse engineering, work backwards from where that, like what you'd have to have or what resources you'd have to gather to create that reality, and then slowly work backwards from there to where you are now. And you'll realize that actually the stepping stones, you don't need to know the exact how of how you're going to do it, but the general stepping stones are not actually going to be unachievable. If you want to get to 100 million, you first do 10 million, then you do 1 million, and then you do 100 grand. And if you're going to do 100 grand, what do you need to do? Well, you need to launch a business that initially is going to start generating revenue, then you hit your first 10 grand a month, then you do 100 grand months, that's $1 million business, then you scale and scale and scale the vision from there. All right, so the point is, growth mindset is going to enable you to step into completely new, undefined futures. Fixed mindset, on the other hand, is going to keep you stuck within the resources and what you think you're capable of, which is based on your past. That's the difference, and that's why it's so important. If you like this video, please hit like down below. And also, more importantly, if you do have a perspective to share any experiences you've had around this, or any tips or techniques or something that you can add to this, please comment below and share it, because a lot of people get a lot of value from the comments on these videos, and your perspective could help someone else move forward. Finally, if you have enjoyed it, please hit subscribe. You'll see that on the bottom corner of this video right now. Make sure to hit the little notification bell beside it, and you'll get an alert for every single one of these videos that is created moving forwards. I do 3 a week, generally the same sort of topics. So if you've enjoyed this one, you'll probably enjoy a lot of the others moving forwards as well. Thanks very much for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.